What's up, everyone? We got Hancock with us. We're going to go over all the nonsense today. We have the hype train in the back, and we're about to talk Luna, Azuki, wind floor, and all of the chaos. What's up, Hancock?
How's it going?
All right. So, like we were just talking, I think we start with Luna and UST. What is a stable coin? What is an algorithmic stable coin? How is it exploitable, and was it exploited?
Yeah, I mean, I think Luna was completely exploited. I told people not to buy Luna. Everybody wanted to hop on the hype train, got wrecked. But basically, Luna's exploitable because it's an algorithmic, right? So an algorithm, it plays off of price action, it plays off of movement, but an algorithm can only keep up with so much speed, right? It can't keep up with ridiculous speed. So what they're doing is they're dumping such large amounts of Luna that it's actually fluctuating the stablecoin pool, and the stablecoin pool cannot keep up, right? It cannot burn enough on one side to stabilize the other side. So it's kind of decoupling the stablecoin from the actual Luna, and it's causing the stablecoin to drop down by huge percentages. Like they got the stablecoin at I want to say down to like 60 cents today. And what they're going to do now, in my opinion, is why we're getting a calm in the waters is because they're going to buy up the stablecoin side, let it go up to $1, and then flood the stablecoin side back down and do the same thing to the Luna side. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. They're going to play this thing to the floor, I think. And the reason I think that they're pressuring Luna specifically is because Luna, from what I was looking into, somebody told me they have like 10 billion in reserves or something like that in Bitcoin, and they've already unloaded 1.5 billion of the Bitcoin that they had in reserves. So, with that being said, I think that a whale is basically trying to pressure them into selling all their reserves, which ultimately would end the market as a whole. And when I say in the market, I don't mean that we're in a bull market. I mean like really in the market, right? So I think like that would be the pressure that we would need to see our 20K, possibly even 14, 13K, depending on how much pressure they apply. And that's where I think that things could go if they keep on pushing this thing in this direction. I don't think that Luna's a safe play at all because of these reasons.
So, with Luna not obviously being a safe play, so my first idea was all right, short UST, right? Not saying that that's the right thing to do. I'm kind of asking. So you're saying it will be balanced, or like there's a chance it will be balanced on the Luna side, and then UST.
Well, what they've done is they decoupled the stablecoin from Luna, right? Because that's the coupling that they have. So they have stablecoin to Luna, and basically they decoupled it. How they did that is they basically flooded the Luna side with sales, and that forced the basically the algorithm could not keep up with the stablecoin burn, right? So when you get a bunch of sales to keep up with stabilizing the coin, it has to burn certain amounts of coin, right? And then that's how the fluctuation for algorithm works. When it comes into um what's it called? Is it burn? Yeah, burn and then mint, right? So you got
Mm-hmm.
burning and you got minting. So on one side it's minting, on the other side is burning. So essentially what they're doing is they're playing with the burn factor. The algo can't keep up with the amount of sales that they're pushing out. So basically the coin is dropping in value because there's so much of it being created, being minted, that the minting is going beyond the value of the coin. So it's pushing the dollar value down. It's kind of like inflation in a stable coin, right? They're creating a imitation inflation in the stable coin. That inflation will level out, which is what I think is happening right now, right? And then once they level out that inflation on the stablecoin side and the stablecoin side goes back up to $1, guess what? They have no reason to hold on to that stablecoin anymore. They've already exploited it. So once they've already exploited that side, now they come over to the stablecoin side and they start flooding the stablecoin side and basically buying just a bunch of stuff with the stablecoin, right? Just to fluctuate the Luna side. And then the Luna side won't be able to keep up, and that's going to nosedive the Luna side. And I think they're going to do this continuously, in my opinion, unless Luna can figure out a way to stop it. Which, with an algorithmic stablecoin, I don't think it's possible to stop it unless they stop transactions, which would make them centralized, and that'd be bad. Um, but I think they're going to do this to a point until they can force Luna into selling off all their reserves.
Yep.
If Luna sells off all their reserves, bye bye Bitcoin. I mean, I know a lot of people don't think that, $8.5 billion in Bitcoin's a lot. That's a lot from where Bitcoin's at right now. That's a ton.
So
Like,
takeaways, what are action items? So you're saying when the movement, this is pressuring them to spin their BTC reserve, which will in turn boost Bitcoin, which would kind of in turn also boost kind of the rest of the market in a small manner, right? Kind of get at
no, no,
that.
no. So it's forcing them to sell the Bitcoin they already have in reserves. That's the purpose of their reserves, right? So in the manner of this exploit, how would they stop this from happening? Well, they got to buy back in. Well, how are they going to buy back in? That's the reason they have the reserves. They have the reserves to sell them and the need to buy back into their own coin to balance out the fluctuations. Does that make sense? So they're kind of
Gotcha.
like double backing their positions. But because people know this, they're exploiting them and exploiting their algorithm to force them into selling off their reserves.
So what's an actionable play for someone to use this information to like make a trade today or tomorrow?
Honestly, I don't know if I would short or long Luna, man. Like that's or even a stable coin. That's a very questionable situation. I would say if they exploit the stablecoin side again, maybe go in and buy some of the stablecoin for the move. So obviously, if they come down like to 60 cents again or 70 cents again, when it goes back up to $1, that's 30 to 40% on your value.
But
So that
is a recovery more probable than with Luna continuing to drop? Because if people continue these sell orders on Luna, there's only
I,
X amount of reserve.
yeah, I'm talking specifically on the stable side,
Okay,
right?
okay.
So not the Luna side. So like if they exploit the stable side again, I would go in on the stable side and buy on the stable side and wait for it to balance back out. Once that balance back out, then I would exit on the stable side and see if they're going to do it again. Because I don't think this is a first time scenario that they're going to do this and last. I think they're going to keep doing it because Luna hasn't even spoken on it, and I know they know they're being exploited. That's the thing. Like I'm really surprised they're not speaking on this. They can try and say it's a whale or whatever. It is a whale, but they're being exploited, and they know they're being exploited. There's no way that that dump made any sense to decouple that stablecoin like that. That showed a huge hole slash huge gap in their system. And I don't see anybody on YouTube or anybody on Twitter, anybody talking about this. But it's a real issue with Luna, and that it needs to be addressed by Luna.
But
Whether that means that they stop the algo at some point and manually take over things from time to time, or they fix the algo so it can't be exploited like this.
then that begs the question of once they do that, right? They have to go back to their algorithm. Like, how do I think the product is flawed by nature?
Yes, by being
So
algorithmic, it's flawed by
yeah.
nature.
So how does it go? How does it recover properly without forking the whole project?
I don't think it's a matter of recovering properly. I think the project ultimately may die.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is like
And
I think
uh,
I think there's more probability on that side seeing this happen. But then again, it's like what forces were behind it to exploit it this much? That's kind of like, and will that happen again? If
well,
there's profit to be made, yeah.
this isn't the first coin I've seen this happen to.
Oh, what else is this?
There was another one called I think it was I want to say Everrise, but it's not a meme coin. It was another gaming token that had a similar situation happen to it, right? And
Hmm.
it got exploited by a whale and literally went to zero.
See,
And go
go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry, I just see that kind of like, I mean, without, I'm the worst person to speak on this because I, have the really uh, high level view of how stable coins operate. But when that view gets kind of ruptured from what I'm seeing, I don't see the recovery just from a product side of a business who's offering this, how it truly recovers because with a stable coin dropping 40% and the coin backing it also with, you know,
getting exploited in the same run.
yeah. So it's like, why, at what point do you start to utilize that again? Because another thing I was reading was, they were offering some really big APY. I know that's a common, um,
No, but that's why they got exploited, right?
yeah, exactly.
They
Yep.
got exploited because of the APY they were offering, the fact that they told people, "Hey, we backed this with Bitcoin," yada
Yep.
yada. They created all these narratives, and it created the perfect storm for somebody to exploit them.
Yep.
That's exactly what happened. Think of it like a 5150 attack. It's a whale wallet doing it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So somebody bought in really early, and they're basically playing with the liquidity in the pool. And at the end of the day, ultimately, I think this thing does end up being a loss for a project. I don't think that it will survive the bear market, in my opinion. And I think we're like part way through the bear market. I don't think we're even close to like the middle yet. But I don't see Luna surviving this from a fundamental standpoint. I
Exactly.
can't see people wanting to go into it and have that there.
That's the view I'm looking at it without a bunch of history and experience, like I said, with stable coins, or, you know, how a lot of these things traditionally trade, just strictly from the fundamentals and the project side of things. This isn't like even rumors or anything like that. Like, this is happening live time as we watch, their coin being decoupled. Like, and
So
just
yeah, so I got a question. Let's take a step back, because one of the other things that you mentioned was, hey, if this continues down and they have to sell all their reserve currency that they have, all their Bitcoin, that's bye Bitcoin. Can you go a little bit more in depth into that?
So what I'm thinking is that the same whales that are exploiting Luna for the purpose, I think, of forcing them into selling their Bitcoin are probably going to sell ahead of them, right? So if those guys have this large of positions in Luna, I can only imagine how big of positions they have in Bitcoin. So they're looking for lower prices essentially. So they're trying to skim the space to try and find ways to exploit and get Bitcoin pushed deeper. And so
mm,
Luna obviously
Interesting.
being one of those, is one of the reasons that I think that they're attacking Luna is to force them into this position. That's quite a bit of currency, right? Like you're talking 8.5 billion.
Yeah. Oh
That
yeah.
should do
No,
a
that's a
nice
massive
chunk
amount.
out of Bitcoin.
And
So
pennies.
then that triggers liquidations, that triggers bots, that triggers
and
this
that continues
cascade
for more
effect.
snowfall.
Exactly. And then you start hitting to that 32K range, and then miners have to start selling, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the
Oh,
thing.
that's a crazy thought right
Yeah,
there.
it's gonna start hitting people's triggers where they've
Right.
got a short they got positions where they're still in profit and they got stop losses. And
That's
those
Mm-hmm.
right.
stop losses start getting hit, you're just gonna see the thing just go and go and go and go.
And that's what we've
And
seen in the past with that just rapid drop in the entire market. And that's
exactly.
what's
It just everybody's stop losses all hit at once and it just starts going.
And then paper hands come out, and everyone
and then the
just
paper
Well,
hands.
I mean, paper hands sell like pennies at the bottom. A lot of people don't realize that. They think that paper hands are helping sell into it. I think the majority of these drops, most of the time, are people setting stop losses on the market, and
Yeah.
then massive amounts of money getting liquidated on those stop losses.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
you're
I see
talking
that.
like,
That's strategic stop losses for people that want to stay in profit.
yes,
But when those big ones hit, that's when the snowball effects really kicks in, because the drop comes and then they're refreshing, and the someone that is refreshing every minute and they're seeing that, their, emotional side really kicks in.
I
And
always like to consider those people like the bottom sellers, right? I don't even
fair
look at them
enough.
as liquidity. Like when the chart goes down to a certain point, it just then bounces and bounces and bounces. That's those guys selling at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Um
They're not selling anything at any height.
so yeah, we kind of explored that. The other thing that I was excited to talk to you about is floor price, and what are we looking at, what numbers are we looking to test, and how have those tests been going on Bitcoin?
I mean, and we've already tested 28K. It's already been tested. You can see right here on the monthly, looks beautiful, right? Basically played out to a T. I think we're coming possibly all the way down to here.
Which is
But
what?
a number that most people would call me crazy, but $14,400.
Oh
Um,
my goodness.
Prior to that, you can see the floor right here.
Yeah, I see that. Wait, wait.
It's plain as day. but that's only if we break this position, right? But you got some levels between here and there. So I would say like this level right here is